Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from lunch. I hope you enjoyed that. If there are those who are still out among our booths networking, we invite you to come back into the main hall at this time. As an enticement, there's a delicious dessert waiting for you. I see a mass coming this way. That's great. It's my honor and opportunity to introduce Scott Anderson, the President and CEO of Zions Bank, who will introduce today's concluding speaker. Please join me in welcoming Scott to the stage.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here today, especially with this opportunity to introduce our governor. If you look at the recent report from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, they recognize Utah as the best overall performing state in the country in its annual National Enterprising State Study. And they noted that the key to Utah's economic growth is its leadership. The study said, and let me read this to you, and we'll put it on the screen for you to read it. Utah is proof that if you pursue the right policies, take a balanced approach, and commit to working collaboratively, you can get results. Utah is on the right track in ushering in a new era of prosperity, and there is much for other states to learn from Utah's success. It's been said that leadership is key to business success, to community success, to success in sports, and success in life. And I love this quote by Pete Carroll, the Seattle Seahawks head coach, only one of 3 football coaches who's won both a Super Bowl and a college football national championship. He said, "Each person holds so much power within themselves that need to be let out. Sometimes they just need a little nudge, a little direction, a little support, a little coaching, and then the greatest things can happen." In Utah, we are fortunate to have a leader who provides appropriate nudging, thoughtful direction, solid support, and strategic coaching, which has certainly led to great things happening here in Utah. Utah's economic performance and its job growth are due to our state's leader, the coach of Team Utah, Governor Gary Herbert. Governor Herbert has said, "In Utah, we respect the power of the free market, and we work to empower the private sector." The recognition of Utah as the best overall economic performing state in the country is evidence that what the governor is doing is working. His emphasis on partnership, his collaborative thinking and bringing people, money, and ideas together for the common good has made a real difference in our state and in our economy. The governor's ability to build coalitions and cooperation is unique in the political world we have today. Under the governor's program, business, community, education, and political leaders work together to create a system that is greater than the sum of its parts. And the results of this work is evident. Our Consumer Attitude Index, which measures the optimism of people here in Utah, is at 111.8%, higher than the U.S. Consumer Confidence Index of just over 100. And this is due to the governor's leadership, the strength of the people, and the work ethic we have. And then if you look at the Utah Consumer Price Index, it shows a trailing 12-month inflation rate of just 0.6%. So we do have inflation under control. We are growing jobs in Utah. Our unemployment is low in Utah. Wages are increasing, and things are going well. In the international field, there is no better player for Utah than Governor Herbert. In China, in Israel, in Mexico, in Europe, across the world, wherever he goes out, he talks about the advantages of doing business in Utah and the advantages of having Utah businesses do business in those countries. People listen to him, and they want to follow him back to Utah to do business here. The governor brings home the gold. Governor Herbert knows Utah. He's traveled to every county in the state multiple times. People know he cares about them because he's been in their home, he's been in their business, and sometimes literally in their shoes. He understands competition, and he understands that you have to be better than your competition if you want to succeed. And he has learned this lesson when he played third base and when he pitched as captain on the Orem High School baseball team. He knows the importance of this when he was a quarterback on his high school football team and point guard on his basketball team. He practiced this when he and his son played in the fathers and sons double tennis tournament at the U.S. Open. And in fact, though he only began playing tennis at age 28, at age 36, he was ranked the #1 player in Utah in the 35-plus Open division. A couple of weeks ago, you may have seen this on the sports page of the Salt Lake Tribune. There is this picture of Governor Herbert returning a tennis ball with the headline, "Power Player." Our governor is a power player. He plays for the long term. He plays for success. He plays to win. And he plays so that we will all have a better life here in Utah. And this is what I think makes our governor unique. He is a great politician, but he's a Utahn first and foremost. He's a player in our community. He's a coach, and he's a superb manager and leader. And now he has been elected by his peers to be the chair of the National Governors Association, to help other states learn from Utah, to find creative solutions to the challenges they face, real solutions, real innovations that will improve people's lives. Governor Herbert believes that states are the laboratories of democracy. He believes in the power of the people and in their ingenuity in finding solutions. And he showcases the breakthrough our people have won here in Utah. It's a pleasure to have Governor Herbert with us today, and it's my pleasure to introduce the governor of the great state of Utah, Mr. Power Player himself, Gary Herbert.
Well, Scott, I didn't think those kind of good things could be said about anybody that was still alive. I'm looking around for the body here. Well, thank you, Scott, for that more than generous introduction, and thanks to all of you. The reward for the end of a busy day is the dessert. And so for those of you who are here, I see there might be some extra desserts for you. And so avail yourselves of the opportunity. And I'll make a few, what I hope is salient remarks to the conclusion of a very important and productive day. Certainly want to recognize Senator Jeff Flake and his wife Cheryl. We're so appreciative of him being here and his busy schedule and adding so much to this conference here today in this forum. They do have roots here kind of in Utah, and so we're kind of looking at you as adopted Utahns, even though they're living in Arizona and doing a great job in our Senate back in Washington, D.C. I do look at this as really kind of a team effort. Maybe coach is an appropriate, name for my position, but I can tell you, having played a few sports in my life, you can't be a successful coach unless you've got good players. It just doesn't happen. And no matter how good you are, if you don't have good players, it's pretty tough to have a successful team. Utah is blessed with really good players. We have business acumen that's unparalleled in America, maybe the world. And a lot of it's focused right here in good old Utah along the Wasatch Front. But all of our 29 counties have got those entrepreneurs out there that are doing remarkably good things and trying to improve the economic opportunity for the people that they represent. And that's what this global forum is about, is saying, you know what, there's more beyond our borders. There's opportunities out there that we can take advantage of as a very successful state in virtually any measurable category, But certainly as we focus on economic growth and development, there's opportunities for us to look at the global nature of the marketplace. The little booklet we have here that talks about 95% of potential customers for your business is outside the borders of America. How we reach those customers, how we increase our market share, how we increase our bottom line really is part and parcel of what we're talking about here on international business. And how can we reach beyond our traditional borders? When you think about the purchasing power of the world, the ability we have to help people. I mean, all entrepreneurs do, they say there's a problem in the marketplace, and here's a solution. If it's communications, we develop an iPhone. It can be somebody developing better technology for the use of computers and access the information age that we have today. Healthcare, the new technology, allowing us to live longer, making our lives better. 100 years ago, the average lifespan of an American, this is America, was about 47 to 48 years of age. Today, it's about 80. For women, it's about 82. Again, that's advancements in technology. People have become very wealthy by finding medical devices that we can put better nutrition, new ways to, in fact, have surgery that takes us less time to recover, the drug industry, all designed to help make people's lives better. The actual side benefit is they become wealthy in the process. But if you can find, the better mousetrap, if you can find a way to make people's lives better, the world will build a road to your front door and say, what can I do to buy your product? Well, that's what you as entrepreneurs understand and appreciate, and that's what this forum is really about. And I appreciate all who've been involved in this. Again, Zions Bank, Scott Anderson is, again, one of the great captains of industry that we have out here. doTERRA, again, one of the great new companies emerging here, both international in scope and impact, and what's taking place here. And yet they say, we'll give back to the community. We'll sponsor a forum to help share ideas. Isn't that a wonderful concept that we have here in Utah, and the fact that the business community is giving back to help others find success in their own disciplines, their own responsibilities. So I want to first and foremost thank all those who have helped make this possible. Our World Trade Center, Derek Miller, my former chief of staff, Val Hale, who's now currently over at our Office of Economic Development, doing a great job. There are members of the legislature who have been a part of this effort and continue to be a significant part of creating a business-friendly environment here in the state of Utah that allows the entrepreneurs to succeed. We just couldn't do it without everybody working together. And it really is a team effort. As Scott mentioned, talking about the Chamber of Commerce, they recognize that uniquely so in Utah is the spirit of collaboration and cooperation stronger than any place in America today. It is one of the secrets of our success. We do get along. We work together. We might have difference of opinion. We have similar goals. Maybe we differ on process. But the fact that we're willing to roll up our sleeves and work together is really a secret of our success. And we understand we're all part of the same team. So I recognize everyone who's made this possible, and thank you very much for your support and making this a successful global forum. Now let me mention just maybe 3 points here, and I'll step down, and you can get back to work in your business. We probably have been as successful in the last 5 or 6 years as any state ever has been in comparison to each other. In the United States of America, the Utah success story is remarkable. We had former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, here in town. He talked in his remarks to a group of us about the Utah model. It's a model, he said, ought to be exported to other states and around this country, and certainly to Washington, D.C. Clearly, the aspect of empowerment of the private sector, a focus on the economy, creating job and economic opportunity for our people is really one that ought to be the focus of every elected official. Finding ways to make it better and more business friendly with either competitive tax rates. What we've done in Utah is flattened and lowered the rates overall, so we're in the top 10 when it comes to lowest tax liability for a citizen of our state. but also regulation reform. Most of the complaints I hear from you in the business world is the regulations are killing us. We're being strangled here because of regulations, particularly out of Washington, D.C. and the federal regulations. We've gone through and reformed ours here in Utah and eliminated 368 of them. Business regulations we had on the books. And we have a trigger mechanism to, in fact, keep track of new regulations that come or spawned by legislation. It should not be lost on any of us, I know it's not lost on Senator Flake, that when they passed the Affordable Care Act, 2,700 pages of legislation that nobody had read, but what is just as disappointing is it spawned over 20,000 pages of regulation that probably nobody's read, and yet impacts us in the marketplace in dramatic fashion. So the fact that we've been able to work together and create a very business-friendly marketplace is really a tribute to you. Again, I'm maybe not only the chief bragger, the bragger in chief, for Utah, and you all know I do that every chance I get. Now I'm the nudger in chief, I guess, based on and I'm certainly nudging us in the right direction to work together, and hopefully with my capacity with the National Governors Association, nudge other states. Because guess what? In this free market system we call capitalism, and in Utah we're still willing to say the word capitalism, it's the best system ever devised by man that gives the best products, the best service for the lowest prices to the most people, which is really the goal that we have for anything we're involved with. The best product, best services for the lowest price to the most people. There's never been a system that's been better than free market capitalism. We embrace it. We understand that's really what's going to help the people solve their individual challenges of life and make their lives better and improve their quality. Again, that's what you're all about. I recognize we set some bold goals when I came in and say we will become the best performing economy in America and a premier global business destination. And although I'm not prepared to say mission accomplished, but it is nice to know that the last 5 months in a row, we have been the #1 best performing economy in all of America. We've achieved that goal, which is aspirational and probably thought to be almost impossible, but for the last 5 months, we are the #1 best performing economy in America when it comes to job creation in the private sector. Yeah, that's worth an applause. And clearly, we are becoming a premier global business destination. You can look at probably about any area you would like to in the marketplace, but I'll just mention one that we know a little bit about, and that's our travel and tourism industry. We have now the majority of the people that visit our national parks are international. All you need to do is go to one of our national parks. You better be bilingual, because you aren't going to hear a lot of English. It's going to be a lot of other languages being spoken as people have discovered Utah as a great place to come and not only do business, but to vacation. And again, that's an example of we are being discovered. We have now international flights to Latin America, to Mexico. We have direct flights now to Amsterdam. A new one just opened up. We have direct flights to Paris, France, and it was just announced yesterday to Heathrow in England. We are starting this next spring a direct flight to the UK. Again, an example of our success. But with success comes its own set of challenges, unique challenges that we need to face and certainly recognize. We're doing extraordinarily well. We diversified our economy, 4th most diverse economy now in America. So we don't have all of our economic eggs in one basket. We're looking for opportunities to continue to grow the economic pie. And as I mentioned to Governor Bush yesterday, I said the good news about this is that it's not a zero-sum game. Other states can have the same kind of success we're having. Our country can have the same kind of success Utah's having if they follow the same principles and implement the same policies. And it's the rising tide that raises all boats, and that's this free market opportunity. So again, we're doing good, but other states can do just as well, and America will turn around if we, in fact, can empower the states and the private sector. Peter Drucker said this about business. Whenever you see a successful business, someone once made a courageous decision. There's inherent in the human spirit of exploration. of taking on some risk with the potential for reward. Again, we need to have government make sure there's level playing fields, that everybody has an equal opportunity to participate and to compete. We hope through government, because of education is one of our constitutional mandates, to provide you with an educated, skilled, prepared labor force that aligns up with the demands of the marketplace. That's why we're doing so much with STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. And not forgetting, though, that it ought to be, as my wife would tell you here today, from Springville, Utah, the art city, that don't forget the arts. So it's not just STEM, it's STEAM. Science, technology, education, arts, and math. Because if you're going to be a good engineer, a good technician, that creative side of your brain needs to be kicking in. The Steve Jobs of the world were pretty creative people. So that arts development, that creative side of your brain needs to be developed along with some of the technical aspects of math and science. And it's working well for us here in Utah. Let me just mention a couple of business leaders that are examples of success, where they've been creative, they've been willing to roll up their sleeves and say, I can find a better niche in the marketplace. Paul Campbell's. Paul here. Paul was maybe going to be here. Paul, stand up so people can see. I'm going to brag about you here. Paul Campbell. He is the president of Campbell Scientific, who was honored last May at the World Trade Center, Utah's 2015 Champion in International Business Award. From its modest beginnings in Logan, Utah, beautiful Cache Valley, in 1974, with the development of a single product, Campbell Scientific has developed increasingly powerful data loggers, sensors, and devices that have achieved worldwide use in environmental, research, and industrial markets. And since 1992, Paul became president of the company. Campbell Scientific has now gone global in nature. His team has established, get this, 11 overseas offices and expanded their reach to more than 200 different countries. That's pretty remarkable, Paul. Paul and Campbell Scientific really do epitomize the work ethic that's found here in Utah. It's part of our culture. It's part of our heritage. We embrace it. We recognize it and appreciate it. The innovative spirit, which we see replicated by you here and many others outside of this room throughout the state, has made Utah such a great place for business as we continue to shine economically. And people are prospering globally, but they're not forgetting their roots here in Utah, and I appreciate that. Another Utah businessman, I'm not sure that Vaughn Mason is here. Is Vaughn here? But let me tell you about Vaughn Mason. Again, a remarkable story, a simple idea that he's taken global. And when he was 14 years of age, which is back in 1972, Vaughn Mason was already stacking hay on the farm. And he was helping not only his own farming family, but local ranchers provide hay for their needs. 5 years later, at age 19, he bought his first field of hay and from a local farmer, and began doing something a little different. He started shipping 15 loads of alfalfa hay outside of his little area of influence. Till today now, with his shipping, he has 186 hay farmers in western United States, not just here in Utah, and he sells hay locally, nationally, and now internationally. He's exporting hay. And 10 Plus Hay is the name of his company. He ships 40 to 50,000 metric tons of Utah hay per day or per year to Kuwait, Dubai, Korea, and China, amongst other countries around the world. And just to put that in perspective, that number, 40 to 50,000 metric tons of alfalfa every year, in weight is equivalent to 200 million potatoes. So take that, Idaho. We're competing with Idaho, and again, an example of a great entrepreneur, and Paul and Vaughn are just examples of what we represent here in Utah, great examples of that entrepreneurial spirit. So because of that, because of the people of Utah, I'm very optimistic about the future. Why would you not be? When you see some of the things that are taking place in our economy here by entrepreneurs inventing new ways, new processes, new systems, new marketing techniques, it is remarkable to see. And it's all because we've come and created a very an economically friendly atmosphere. Speaking of Idaho farmers, my father was an Idaho farmer. He raised potatoes up on the family farm, which is still there in a little place called Sterling, Idaho. If you haven't been to Sterling, you ought to go visit sometime. The only one I think I knows about besides my family is Butch Otter. I've told him he's the governor of Idaho, to go visit the Herbert family farm up in Sterling, Idaho. But Dad never forgot the importance of having the farming entrepreneurial spirit that he learned when he was a farmer. He sold milk. He was a milkman. He then became a real estate agent and became a general contractor. And that's how I got involved in the real estate business when I was in college and growing up, was because of my father. But I wasn't raised on a farm, but I had a big garden. Dad always had about an acre of garden. He planted his own potatoes and corn and radishes and carrots, had some fruit trees. And he had that opportunity of a little father and son time to teach me about gardening. And I asked him once, some of you have heard me tell this story before, but it's a good one. I said, Dad, what's the secret about having a successful garden? And I thought it was about the seeds. And having good seeds, go down to the store, get the right kind of seeds to plant. He says, no, it's not the seeds, it's the soil. You've got to have good soil. And if you have a good soil, Gary, it doesn't matter as much what kind of seeds you've got, because they will germinate. And if you take care of the garden, you weed it, you water it, you fertilize it, it will create a harvest at harvest time. And so even those who are, maybe the seeds are not quite as good, will germinate in a good fertile soil. So I've used that really as a metaphor for what we've done here in Utah. We've created a very fertile environment for the entrepreneurial seeds for you and others to throw down. And if you tend it and you work hard and you weed it and you fertilize it, you'll have a harvest. You'll grow a crop and you'll have profitability. And if you continue to do that, you'll increase market share and have a larger garden than you've had before. So I understand the importance of what we've done here in Utah in competition with each other. But I would just say this to you as we talk about the global forum today, that the competition that we have now in Utah comes from not only others close to us, but from outside of our borders. I had an opportunity to be in China, in Beijing, not too long ago, and met with their Minister of Economic Development there. He was very laudatory in his praise about Utah. He said, we recognize Utah is leading America out of the Great Recession. We recognize you're a fast-growing economy. In fact, he says, we in China would like to be like you in Utah. And I thought that was nice praise coming from him, and he ended up saying, we know it's going to take us a while to catch you. And he said, probably 100 years to catch you in Utah. Now, this was before the collapse and what was taking place in China today. But interestingly, he did say this, but we will catch you. It may take us 100 years, but we will catch you. So the competition from 1.3, 1.4 billion people in just China alone is real. Now, I'd like to say it's opportunity for us out there as the customers and opportunities to work together for mutually beneficial economic success, but I recognize the competition is keen out there. Thomas Friedman, you all know Thomas Friedman, New York Times, 3-time Pulitzer Prize winner, said this, when I was growing up, my parents told me, finish your dinner. People in China and India are starving. Today, I tell my daughters, finish your homework. People in India and China are starving for your jobs. So the competition is real. And we want to be able to not only compete, but to win. Last, let me just say that, again, the good thing about today was we had speakers who came and shared their expertise with all of us. Hopefully finding ways to improve our own businesses, our own economic opportunities, to improve people's lives. And I'm hopeful that today that you've been here and participating, have been able to acquire some information that you can take back to your own businesses. And maybe it's just one thing that you're going to be able to incorporate that's going to help your business become more profitable and improve your market share. Again, I expect that we've got some of the great experts, the great entrepreneurs in Utah here today participating in this forum, which is going to help us all. So as you implement what you've learned today and improve your economic success, all of Utah benefits. Again, we are all part of the same team, and as we become successful, we have an opportunity to be a good example to the rest of the country. Now, I'm here to tell you, and I know Senator Flake feels the same way too, the challenges we face as a country are real. They're not imaginary. It's a time for us to come together, to roll up our sleeves and use a good work ethic based upon good principles and good policies if we're going to solve the problems facing America. Utah has a unique opportunity to be a part of that solution by being a good role model. And heaven knows that America needs a good role model. We've got plenty of bad ones out there. I'm proud of what you're doing. It really is you, the players, not me, the coach, that's making it happen. And we want you to continue to put your best efforts forward and have the success that we can have here in the state to be the best we can be. We have trade missions we're going to be involved with. Please check with Derek, with our World Trade Center, with Val, with our Office of Economic Development. We'd like to invite you to be a part of our trade missions. We try to do a number of them each year. I go on one or two of them myself, but we'd like to invite you to participate and be a part of our efforts to expand internationally. I think there's great opportunity. Heaven knows, we speak 130 languages. We speak the world languages here in Utah. We are suited to be global in nature, and we see that taking place. Let me encourage you also, join your chambers of commerce. If you're not a member of your chamber of commerce, you should be. Whether it's the Salt Lake Chamber, the Utah Valley Chamber, the Ogden Chamber, the Logan Chamber, join your chambers of commerce. My father, who set a good example for me, was the president of the Orem Chamber of Commerce and worked to combine the Orem and Provo Chamber of Commerce together, saying we can do better together than we can be in sheer competition as two chambers of commerce. I have an appreciation for the chambers of commerce and the roles that they play in helping promote the local communities and the regional areas of our state, and also work with our local elected officials to make sure we're creating a very friendly, business-friendly environment at that local level. So again, we're going to continue to make economic development our number one issue. I don't usually quote Democrats too often as a Republican governor, but I will quote Bill Clinton. When he did say, when he ran for president, that it is the economy, stupid. And I say today, it is the economy, and we're not stupid. We understand that that really is the focus, and it should be the focus of us first and foremost. If we get the economy right, everything else kind of falls into place. So what you're doing is significantly important as we grow the economy of Utah, and really allows us to be a great example of this country on a great place to live, quality of life-wise, great place to raise a family, and a great place to do business. So thank you very much. Good luck, and God bless you.
Thank you, Governor Herbert. Thanks also to Senator Flake for being here. As we conclude today's event, a special thanks to our sponsors and those organizers of the forum, and also to each of you. Thank you for being here. You are now armed with more information than you had when this forum started. This is not the end, as the governor alluded to. This is just the beginning. There are a number of ways that we will move forward with this information, one of which is all of you will be receiving an email about the Global Cities Initiative. Look for that email and how you can get involved and how we can all move forward together. Thank you.